what is up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Madison. You should definitely click on that little red subscribe button down below. So today's video is going to be some guest stories about when I was on my college program at Walt Disney World. I was a character attendant, so you guys can imagine how many guest interactions I had a day, and some of those were really good guest interactions, some of those were not so good guest interactions. Today I'm going to be telling you guys some of the craziest guest stories I had while in my college program. To clarify, I do still work as a seasonal cast member at Walt Disney World, but most of my crazy guest interactions happened when I was on my college program because I was working literally 6 days a week for so long. So without further ado, let's get into the stories. So the first story takes place, I think it was in July. I think it was like one of my last shifts, I think. And for those of you that don't know, I worked in Dinoland at Donald's Dino Bash. Literally like from May to July, those were like the only shifts I wanted to work, so it was so much fun. I just loved the characters and like the vibe of Dinoland and the cast. It was just great. So one of my last shifts I worked with Goofy, and Goofy was my favorite to work with just because he's so fun and just a great guy to be around. So this was towards the end of the day, and this day, I can't remember what specifically happened during the day, but it was like a crazy day. Like so much was happening. I think it like rained and there were just all these altercations, not like altercations, but just like issues because it was raining. So it was just a crazy day. So this was just the icing on top of the cake. So it was towards I think it was like one of the last families of the day, and I'm in Goofy's location, which if you guys have been to Dinoland, there's it's under Primeval World kind of, and there's railings, and we tell the kids always don't mess with the railings, don't hang on the ropes, don't do any of that because you can get hurt or you can get stuck like this kid did this time. So I'm kind of talking to this family behind the rails, looking into Goofy's location. They're like, oh, we wish you could meet Goofy, blah blah blah. I'm like, hey, sorry, but he's done for the day. He's gonna go fishing with his son Max, but he'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m, you know, the usual. So this kid has his leg in the railing, in the little red railings. I wish I can find a picture, I'll insert it, but I don't know if I can, but it's these little wrought iron fences kind of. And I kept telling him for 10 minutes, I was like, hey, please don't put your feet in the railing. He was probably about 10 or 11, so his leg was small enough to where it could slide through, but also big enough to where if he put it the right way, it could get stuck. So I was like, hey, please don't mess with the railings, please get down, please get your foot out, blah blah blah. So I kept telling him over and over, please get your feet out of the railing. I turned around about probably 10 minutes after I had told him for 10 minutes straight, and guess what? His foot is stuck, or his leg, his whole calf is stuck in the railing. So his grandma's she told you not to, kind of hits him upside the head, is she told you not to, you're so dumb, all this stuff. I was like, it's okay, remain calm, everything's gonna be fine. So I try to start getting it out. I'm trying to be I don't know, I'm like, hey, does this hurt? Can you move your feet? Is everything okay? Can you move your toes? He's moving his toes fine. He kicks his shoe off. He has these little flip-flops on. And so he's like, I'm so embarrassed, all this stuff. And his mom, his grandma and his dad are like, why would you do that? We told you to stop. She was telling you to stop. You deserve this, all this stuff. I'm like, everybody calm down. Let me just call some leadership. So I get on the walkie-talkie and I'm like, Goofy attendant to Dino Captain, we have an issue at the Goofy location. Can you please assist? And she gets on, she's like, what's going on? I was like, this kid has his foot stuck, or his leg stuck in the railing. And I see her bolt, she starts running. And so she comes up and she's calling the EMTs because we're we don't know how serious this is. We don't know, you know, what the deal is. So she's kind of asking the same questions I was, all this stuff. And the parents are still just oh my gosh, we're so sorry, he's so dumb, all this stuff. We're please calm down, everything's gonna be fine. So me and my captain are talking and we're I mean, does anyone have butter? Doesn't any of the food locations, I don't know, how do we go about this? Because I know when I was little and in the railings, on our staircase, if my leg got stuck, we'd use butter or something, I don't know. But so she's like, no, I don't think we have butter, but does anyone have Vaseline? So we're asking everybody in line, does anyone have Vaseline? Anyone have Vaseline? And this grandma pulls out this tub of Vaseline out of her purse. She's like, here. So we're okay, we're doing this, we're actually gonna go for it. So we start putting Vaseline on this kid's leg and on the railings and stuff. And after about 5 minutes of trying, he gets his leg free. And honestly, it was one of the funniest things. At the time it wasn't funny because you're oh my gosh, are we gonna have to call the EMTs to cut this kid's leg out of the railing? But yeah, so that was fun. That was an interesting story, and that's a world-class how does this happen? Like, why did that happen to me? But that's one of my favorite stories because I think it's just crazy how that happened and how we problem solved. So as a character attendant, you always got to be prepared for stuff like that. My second story actually happened in Town Square at Pluto's location, and I was obviously based in Animal Kingdom, so I wasn't in Magic Kingdom a lot, but on the times that I was in Magic Kingdom, for some reason, I always picked like the busiest days and the weirdest days to work there. I don't know what it was, but the Pluto shift was only like, I think it was like 7:45 to like 2, so it was like half my day, which was nice because I'm usually working from like 9 to 6. So I was really excited. It was like the last people of the day, and like I remember I was standing there, I was like cutting off the line, like, hey guys, sorry, Pluto has to go get ready for Festival of Fantasy, but he'll be back tomorrow at this time, blah blah blah. So I'm like closing the line's closed, like nobody else is being let in, and I just see this guy walking in like from, so where you're out of Town Square in Magic Kingdom, if you're like walking in like kind of by the Town Square Theater, like that's when people like walk into the park. So this guy just comes in and he's like screaming, and I'm like, what is going on over there? So I see this like pack girl, which like the pack is like the parade audience control. It's the people who like do the ropes and stuff and like for parades and all that. And I could tell that she had like her little earning my ears thing on her name tag. She was obviously new. And this guy just comes up to her and starts like pointing his finger, like screaming at her. And I'm like, what is going on over there? But I couldn't like leave my post or like where I was standing because I was closing the line and somebody else is at the front. So I was like, if I leave, people are gonna get in. So I'm just gonna stand here and wait. So I'm kind of like watching this all unfold, and I see her like turn around and look at me. And I'm like, oh no, she's about to come over and ask me to let this family in the line. And like this guy is pissed. Like he is screaming at this girl. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't really want to be dragged into that because I'm just gonna make him more mad because I physically can't let his family in the line. So he comes over and starts like yelling at me, and I don't even know what he's saying. Like he's screaming, and I'm like, calm down, like what's wrong? Like what's going on? And he's like, I was staying at this resort last night and it was the worst experience of my life, like all this stuff, like just going down. He was like, our family should be compensated for our tickets, for everything. We should get everything for free, and is just going off. And I'm like, I'm sorry that you had a bad experience at your resort, but I think that that's something you should either take up with the people at your resort, or if you should take up with guest relations, which is right over there. And he's like, I don't want to speak to them, like blah blah blah, like they've already told me this and this. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, I can't really do anything about that because I don't work with resorts. Like I don't really even know how to go about that, but if you do have any further questions, you should go to guest relations, and it's right over there. And so the pack girl comes up and like pulls me aside and is like, can you please let them in your line, like please? And the family's like looking at me because I guess she had already told them that I was gonna let them in. And I was like, unfortunately I can't do that, like Pluto's going to Festival of Fantasy, but he'll be back around like 8 a.m. tomorrow. And he just starts screaming at me. He's like, we had such a bad experience, like why can't you just let us in the line? And I was like, I'm sorry, but like I've already turned multiple families away, so I can't like let you in the line. Like I wish I could, but like I can't. And he's just like going off. He's like, all you people are just ridiculous, like all of you are jokes, like how could my family have such a bad experience and you guys have nothing to say about it? And I was like, sir, I'm sorry, like I don't know what happened at your resort, I'm not sure what you want from me, but I can't let you in this line, and like I don't have the power to really give you anything for free, so if you have any questions, please go to guest relations. And this Pat girl is just like crying, like she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, calm down, like it's cool, like I deal with this all the time. And so he's like, can you just like get us an autograph, like all this stuff? And I was like, so I like call my captain and I'm like, if this person, he like really wants an autograph from Pluto, like is there any way that we can get him an autograph? So she comes out and she's like, okay, we can get one autograph, like just hand me the book. And so he gives us like 3 books, and she's like, please, just 1 book. We're trying to get this done for you, like we can only do 1 autograph. So then he starts screaming at us again, and we're like, okay, so no autograph. So he doesn't end up getting an autograph because he's so mad that we can't get him 3 autographs. So my captain leaves and is like trying to go deal with something else, because I think something else was happening at like another location. And so he's just still standing there screaming at me. And I'm like, sir, if you have any more questions, please go to guest relations. Like there's not really a way that I can help you or that she can help you. But if you want to talk to them about your resort reservation or about things of that nature, please go over to guest relations. And then he cursed me out, and then he went to guest relations. But that was crazy. I wasn't expecting that. I don't even know like what the problem was. Like I tried to get it out of him, but he was really angry. And it stinks when you have to deal with people like that, because I mean, I've been in situations where I've been at Disney when I was little, and not everything goes your way all the time, and it is hard because you do want to make every guest experience like the best. but it's hard when they're really mean to you, and when like I don't work in resorts, so I can't do anything about that. But yeah, that's my second story. Okay, so the last story I'm gonna do for this video, it's actually really weird. So this was one of my first, I think, shifts out of training. So I was working in Adventurers Outpost, and Adventurers Outpost is the only place you can meet Mickey and Minnie in the parks together. Like, that's the only place on property they will meet and like take pictures together. So I was working in Adventurers Outpost, and it was like halfway through the day, and the person comes out who's like at the front of the building, like the front of the line, like putting people into Adventurers Outpost, and was like, hey, this family coming in, they don't know Mickey and Minnie are in here. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? She's like, they don't know Mickey and Minnie are in here. And I didn't know what that meant, so I was like, what? Like, what do you mean they don't know? Like, it literally has Mickey and Minnie on the front of the building, and it says Adventurers Outpost. So she's like, I'm gonna bring them in, but like they don't know they're in here. And so I'm like, okay. So I go up to Mickey and Minnie, I'm like, hey, so this family's coming in and they don't know that you're in here, so I guess I'm just supposed to relay this to you. And so they're like, they nod their heads, they're like, okay. So I go to the photo pass, I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but this family doesn't know that Mickey and Minnie are in here. And he's like, what? And I was like, I don't know. So this family comes in, it's like a party of 11 or 12, so it's just them in here. And they're like a Brazilian group, I think. And so they're like, they knew that they were in here by the looks on their face. I don't know. I'm still confused. I still don't understand what was going on. Well, I do, but you'll see. So we're like standing in there, and usually like when somebody's gonna propose, told that somebody's gonna propose, so like we can be on our A game, like we're always on our A game, but like proposals, like especially like for PhotoPass, like that's a big thing. You want your proposal to remember forever. You want pictures, and like you want the experience to be great and all this stuff. Haven't really heard of somebody proposing in like the room with Mickey and Minnie, but I don't know. I was so confused. So they're like having the interaction with Mickey and Minnie. Family takes a picture, and then everybody steps out except for like these two. And he's like, he turns and looks at her, the guy turns and looks at her. Mickey and Minnie are like looking at each other. Turn and look at her, and like starts like talking, and I guess is like saying how he wants to marry her. And like he gets down on one knee, and Mickey and Minnie are like even I was like, what? Like, I didn't know if there was gonna be a proposal. Like, usually you're told these things. And so Mickey and Minnie are like, yay, like, cause nobody knew. And the photo pass is like, oh my God, like what is going on? So he's like taking pictures as fast as he can. And I'm just like, yay, like congratulations, like all this stuff. And so then the lady from the front comes back in. She's like, how was it? Like, how was the interaction? And I go, they were like the guy was proposing, and she was like, they told me they didn't know Mickey and Minnie were in here. I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. So I'm still confused. That's not like a crazy guest story, but it's just weird because he like dropped on one knee, and like they didn't speak English, so nobody knew what was going on. Like nobody knew what they were really saying, because I don't really speak Spanish or Portuguese. Like I know a little bit of it, but I didn't know what was going on. So it was really confusing. And to this day, as you can tell, still a little shocked. But yeah, that's my third and final story for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I do have a lot more. I just didn't want to like put like 10 in this video because this video is already like 14 minutes long. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.